In the dead of night, deep within a murky swamp forest, something stirs beneath the water's surface. A strange light pulses in the gloom. It emanates from a small, lumpy form, and a voice cries out in confusion, "Where is this?" Coming from a bizarre, one-eyed creature. His last memory flashes before his eye, being a regular guy in bed complaining that his favorite manga, Legend of Mushrooms, wasn't popular. He remembers scrolling through his phone, reading, and then unknowingly falling asleep. The horrifying realization hits him. He died suddenly and got reincarnated into another world. But he quickly accepts his new reality, deciding that the most practical thing to do is assess his surroundings and figure out how to survive. He calls out into the desolate swamp, hoping to find another soul in this lonely place. Big mistake. As dozens of menacing red eyes light up the forest, he realizes that staying quiet is the only way he's going to live. He surveys the disgusting swamp, filled with bugs and a foul miasma, but strangely, his new body seems to find this damp, murky environment quite comfortable. He immediately snaps out of it, wondering what kind of creature he's even become to enjoy such a place. Just then, a holographic screen flickers to life before him. The screen reveals his identity. He's a slime mold, and with his HP steadily ticking down, he realizes he'll die for good if he doesn't eat soon. He frantically scans the area, desperate to find anything edible in this desolate swamp. Then, an idea strikes him. Slime molds are decomposers, so maybe he can eat the dead wood he's sitting on. He focuses on the command to eat, and his body instinctively spreads out, noting the taste is surprisingly like a soggy biscuit. His body begins to dissolve and absorb the log. After a satisfying burp, a system alert pops up. He's leveled up to level 2 and his HP is fully restored, but he won't get any more XP from wood for the next hour. The level up also granted him a skill point with 2 options available, Decompose and Pulsation. He invests the point, and his body begins to throb as the skill activates, leveling up to 3. He suddenly understands. Pulsation allows him to control his protoplasm, effectively letting him move by shifting his body mass. Since he can't get any more XP from wood for a while, he decides it's time to explore his surroundings. He marvels at his new body's ability to change shape at will. While exploring, his eye lands on something familiar. A mushroom? His human memories warn him against eating random fungi, but his new slime mold instincts are screaming that this is a 5-star meal. He begins to carefully make his way over, plotting the most efficient route. And here's a fun fact. Real-world slime molds are masters of efficiency, able to solve complex mazes and even optimize transit networks better than human engineers. Tapping into that innate ability, he silently slinks through the undergrowth, closing in on his prize. As he gets closer, he realizes the mushroom isn't just strange, it's writhing. He doesn't hesitate, slithering onto the cap and declaring, "Hey, time to eat!" His human brain immediately frames this encounter like a classic internet dating meetup. The girl, pure little mushroom, asks if he's the one and only tough guy Bang Bang. And with a confident sparkle, he confirms his identity. But when she finally turns around, it's the most horrifying catfish reveal in history. A toxic woman, an online scam. The metaphor crashes into reality as poison courses through his body, draining his health. Thinking fast, he severs the poisoned part of his body and flings it away. The system confirms the toxin is gone, but at a cost. He's lost body mass and his max HP has permanently decreased. He glares back at the toxic mushroom, realizing he managed to decompose a piece of it in the struggle. Beating a tactical retreat, he dubs himself General Slime and vows to return. He finds a safe spot on a tree. 15 minutes pass. After munching on some dead wood, a system alert confirms he's back to full health, though he gains no EXP. With his HP restored to its new max of 35, he's ready for round 2. He slithers back towards his target. A brilliant, if tedious, plan forms. He'll use hit-and-run tactics, decomposing a bit, retreating to heal, and then repeating the cycle. He calls it Project Move Mountain and immediately puts it into action. With enough time and patience, he's determined to wear this toxic monstrosity down completely. His relentless assault is framed as a gritty police drama, with the mushroom taunting him after his 8th attack. But the law is patient. Representing General Slime, the officer finally makes the arrest. Back in the real world, the mushroom is finally starting to crumble under the constant pressure. And after all that effort, a notification pops up. He's acquired Poison Resistance Level 1. So that's why I've been lasting longer, he thinks. The grind is literally making him stronger. But he's still a bit bummed out. All that work on the big boss and no level up. Then he has a brilliant idea. Why focus on the boss when there's a whole buffet of EXP just sitting around? He starts with a safe, non-toxic straw pipe mushroom, easily decomposing it for some quick points. Then, using his new resistance, he tackles a highly toxic monk's cap mushroom, and boom! He hits level 4 and his poison resistance gets an upgrade. He goes on an all-you-can-eat EXP buffet, absorbing every mushroom in sight. After eating his fill, he decides to pack the rest for the road. And by pack, he means wearing them like a fabulous poisonous hat that doubles as emergency rations. He compares himself to a decorator crab, using the toxic mushrooms as a living shield to ward off predators. A genius-level survival tactic. Feeling safe and sound, he makes his way through the swamp. But the swamp is full of surprises, like a swarm of giant, flesh-eating hornets. Suddenly, his genius plan doesn't feel so genius anymore as he hides in terror, praying his mushroom armor works. The hornets ignore him, landing on a nearby plant to feast. But just as he breathes a sigh of relief, a massive frog ambushes one of the hornets out of nowhere. The protagonist is stunned, not just by the frog, but by the fact that it's another one. And sure enough, a second tongue whips out, snatching another hornet from the air. He can only watch as a full-blown turf war kicks off. Enraged, the rest of the swarm descends on the massive frog. They dive in relentlessly, sinking their mandibles into its tough hide. While the frog is individually stronger, the hornets have the clear advantage in numbers. But where others see danger, our little slime mold sees opportunity, realizing the corpses could be a massive EXP jackpot. The hornets begin to overwhelm the frog, covering it in a biting, stinging blanket. But the frog isn't done yet. It unleashes a devastating tongue attack, sweeping multiple hornets out of the sky in a single blow. And with a triumphant croak, the frog prepares to swallow its hard-won meal. Our little slime mold is stunned by the display of power. The frog, having seemingly won the battle, takes a moment to rest. But just as it lets its guard down, a new challenger emerges from the depths. In a flash of movement, the hunter becomes the hunted, snatched up by a terrifying serpent-necked bird. The true apex predator's gaze then falls directly upon General Slime. Paralyzed with fear, he can only think one thing. This game is literally unplayable. But in the reflection of the predator's eye, it doesn't see a slime. It just sees a weird, unappetizing mushroom and looks away in confusion, with a final dismissive stomp. The shockwave alone sends General Slime flying, wiping out almost all of his health. The beast departs, leaving silence in its wake. Night falls over the swamp. Our hero has spent the time recovering and continuing his Project Move Mountain on the original toxic mushroom. But even with this small victory, the sheer scale of this world is terrifying. He comes to a grim realization. He's at the absolute bottom of the food chain, but he realizes that's exactly what saved him. The gap between them was so vast, he wasn't even considered food. Even after leveling up to 5 from all the ambient EXP, he knows it doesn't change the fact that he's still just a weak creature. As a slime mold, how can he possibly survive in this brutal world, let alone rise up? Exhausted, he wishes this was all just a bad dream he could wake up from. But a new day dawns, and his relentless Project Move Mountain is finally showing results as the toxic mushroom begins to break down. Suddenly, he's hit by a sharp, stinging attack. The shock is so intense it forces an evolution, and a system notification pops up. He's acquired a new skill, Burst. But the mysterious attack sends him crashing to the ground. Dazed and furious, he looks around for his assailant. And there it is, a snail spitting a corrosive acid liquor. The acid melts through a mushroom in seconds, and the snail begins to slurp up the dissolved remains right in front of him. The snail slurps down the goo, seemingly oblivious. General Slime is livid, yelling, "It's bad enough you stole my mushrooms without asking."
But dripping your saliva on my face and nearly disfiguring me is simply unforgivable.
In response, the snail just lets out a sad little whimper, but our hero isn't buying it. "Don't you dare play the victim with me." The snail's cries only become more pathetic. And just like that, General Slime's anger melts away as he realizes they're both just struggling to survive. He magnanimously tells the snail to eat up, saying there are plenty of mushrooms to share. As the snail happily resumes its meal, a thought strikes him. Wait, friendship born from a fight? Isn't this a classic shonen manga trope? And so, an unlikely alliance is forged. The slime mold and the acidic snail party up, ready to face the swamp together. His imagination immediately runs wild, picturing them as epic fantasy heroes leveling up together. Their bond of friendship so powerful it could defeat even the great demon king. He's completely sold on the idea. To survive in this brutal world, you absolutely need companions. So he makes his formal proposal to the acidic snail, offering to team up and provide plenty of mushrooms to eat. The snail looks up, seemingly contemplating the offer, and its answer is a brutal headbutt that sends his eye flying. The pain is immense, and the slime realizes his fatal mistake. This world doesn't care about feelings, only about who eats whom. He was completely fooled by its pathetic act. Realizing the snail is much stronger, his only plan is to escape while it's distracted. But the snail notices him trying to leave. It immediately starts to follow him, and the slime panics, realizing this relentless creature has no intention of letting him go. With no other choice, he dumps his remaining skill points into pulsation, leveling it up to 4. He pushes his body to its absolute limit, going full power. The upgraded skill gives him a burst of speed, and for a moment, it looks like he might escape. But 3 minutes later, the acidic snail is still right on his tail. He can't believe it. Even with his upgrade, the snail's speed is a perfect match for his own. And then, the snail rears back, unleashing a massive glob of its corrosive acid liquor. The attack lands, dealing a devastating 27 damage. The acid sizzles through his body, nearly splitting him in two, and a morbid thought crosses his mind. Which half gets to stay conscious? But he quickly shakes it off. Now is not the time for an existential crisis. The snail lets out a triumphant cry, its horrifying maw dripping with acid. He splatters across the ground. But even as a puddle, his will to live burns bright, vowing that revenge will be his. The snail begins to slurp up his remains. But just as he's about to be devoured, a new, even more bizarre figure looms over him. "You've got to be kidding me," he thinks. "Another one?" This mysterious mustachioed creature drops a strange mushroom beside him. The acidic snail, interrupted from its meal, turns its attention to the newcomer, baring its rows of razor-sharp teeth. But that brief distraction is all he needs. With a surge of power, he activates his new skill, Burst. The punch connects, caving in the snail's face, and in a bizarre twist, the acidic snail's body begins to contort and dissolve on the spot. And the system confirms it. Target defeated, experience gained, and a level up to level 6. He realizes his gamble paid off. The snail had to dissolve its food because it had no poison resistance of its own. He lets out a triumphant laugh, celebrating his first solo monster kill in this new world. Now, for the spoils of war. He wonders what kind of power-up he'll get from consuming the snail. But the moment he touches it, the slimy texture is revolting. He tries to psych himself up, comparing it to French escargot as he begins the dissolution process. What the hell? The taste is beyond terrible. A salty, sour, snot-like texture that makes his entire body reject it. He considers spitting it out, but then remembers this is a victory he risked his life for. He hardens his resolve. In this world, he can no longer afford to be a picky eater. With grim determination, he forces himself to gulp down the rest of the snail. The disgusting meal blurs by, until finally it's over. And the reward is immediate. Decomposition complete, EXP gained, and a level up from 6 to 7. His body is even restored to its optimal state. But optimal doesn't mean pleasant, and he feels even worse than before. Still, the level up grants him 1.4 skill enhancement points and a look at his current abilities. He mentally relabels his skills. Decomposition is for eating. Poison resistance is for tanking, and both pulsation and burst are just for running away. He realizes with a huff that he doesn't have a single skill actually meant for attacking, but he quickly resigns himself to his fate. Complaining won't change the fact that he's a slime mold. Besides, he reasons, even with an attack skill, he'd be crazy to provoke the roided-out monstrosities that call this swamp home. Since survival is the name of the game, he dumps his points into the only logical choice. Pulsation. The skill hits level 4, and he's eager to test out his new and improved getaway speed. He gives it a test run. The result? A blistering 20 centimeters per second, which translates to a whopping 0.78 kilometers per hour. The sheer patheticness of it all brings a tear to his eye. 1 week passes. He spent the time safely studying his own body, but his food supply is dwindling. It's time to find a new base. But first, one last meal for the road. And this is the new technique he's developed. Search. By flattening his body and dispersing it into thin veins, he can explore multiple directions at once. He becomes a living, thinking network, a biological radar system perfect for scouting the dangerous swamp. As his tendrils spread, they don't just see, they collect. He snatches up any edible fungi he finds along the way. Better yet, he can now decompose things while they're stored inside him, eating and exploring at the same time. He's not just gaining XP, he's actively leveling up his skills, and his poison resistance just hit level 4. But his scouting hits a snag when one of his tendrils bumps into a familiar-looking shell. The snail retaliates instantly, dealing 9 damage directly to his main body. It can't be. Is that the same acidic snail? Before he can process it, he's hit with a familiar spray of acid liquor. The acid sizzles, but thankfully his upgraded pulsation skill lets him make a quick retreat. But as he flees, he realizes something terrifying. This snail is much, much faster than the one he killed. But our protagonist is confident, taunting, "It's impossible for you to hit me again." The snail immediately proves him wrong, landing another acid shot on one of his extended veins. It keeps firing relentlessly. But this was all a feint. He whips a tendril around and shoves a toxic mushroom right into the snail's mouth. Unless, he thinks, I let you hit me on purpose. He's already figured out its weakness. The poison works instantly, sending the snail into violent convulsions as it fires wildly. With the snail dead, he uses decomposition and is rewarded with a level up, hitting level 10. He grimaces, admitting that while it's uncomfortable, the EXP from monsters is just too good. Leaving the empty shell behind, he continues his search for a new base. Suddenly, a familiar buzzing sound catches his attention. A voice calls out, taunting what it thinks is a snail hiding in the grass. But what emerges is something far worse. A monstrous blade-legged centipede. It towers over our hero, casting a terrifying shadow. Its countless legs twitch, each one a razor-sharp scythe. The protagonist can only tremble in absolute fear. In a flash, the monster lunges right at him. He panics, desperately waving his mushroom armor as a makeshift shield. But the centipede's blades slice through his defense with ease. He realizes with horror that his usual tricks are completely useless. The centipede coils around him, digging its bladed legs deep into his body in a deadly myriapod blade strangle. The blades sink deeper and deeper into his body. But instead of being sliced to ribbons, the centipede's legs just sink in. He realizes his soft, gelatinous body is the perfect counter to blade attacks. Free EXP just delivered itself to my door, he thinks. I won't be polite. And with that, the hunt is on. He spots a flying insect, but knows it's still out of his reach for now. A giant cockroach? Yeah, that's a hard pass. After a successful day of hunting, he basks in the sun, realizing that eating meat is the key to leveling up fast in this world. He's quickly climbing the food chain, and now he's got his sights set on bigger prey, like frog legs. His confidence soars as he imagines a future where his growth is unstoppable, sitting atop a pile of his defeated foes as the ruler of this new world. His hunt leads him to the edge of another murky pool. He wonders if there are new resources to be found beneath the surface. Only one way to find out. But the moment he touches the fresh water, his body starts bloating uncontrollably. He quickly realizes his single-celled body is absorbing water due to osmosis, and he's about to pop like a water balloon. Yeah, maybe underwater exploration can wait. But just as he backs away, a new challenger emerges from the depths. A crab? A massive armored crab just chilling and blowing bubbles. And our hero's first thought isn't fear. It's a full-blown seafood fantasy. He tries to sweet-talk the crab, hoping to lure it onto dry land. The crab, however, is completely unfazed. It just keeps on blowing bubbles. Looks like simple taunts won't work on this one. Fine. He decides he'll just poison the entire pool with decomposed mushrooms. But the crab makes the first move, unleashing a bubble barrage. A high-pressure jet of water slams right into him. The blast is so powerful it sends him flying backwards. He's left with a gaping hole in his body, completely stunned. A water gun? And another shot immediately follows, taking off a huge chunk of his health. The second blast slams him hard against a nearby tree. He finally understands. This crab is on a completely different level from the other swamp creatures. Knowing he's an easy target in the open, he decides to wait it out. It's now a battle of patience. But then a loud splash echoes from the pool. He peeks out, wondering if the crab has finally given up. He couldn't be more wrong. The armored crab is coming ashore. The hunter has officially become the hunted. And it's not slow on land either. It uses a dash skill, scuttling towards him with terrifying speed. His confidence completely evaporates. In a desperate panic, he scrambles up the tree, realizing this monster actually plans to eat him. He thinks he's found a safe haven, planning to use the tree trunk to dodge the crab's attacks. But he's not alone. Annoyed, he dismisses the new arrival as just a spider and tells it to scram. He even gets cocky, warning the bug that he's eaten plenty of its kind. The spider does not back down. Instead, it attacks, unleashing a powerful arachnid slash. The hit lands, and our hero is in shock. Wait, wasn't he supposed to be immune to blade attacks? As the creature starts to devour him, a system window reveals the horrifying truth. This is a level 16 spider monster with a level 8 Way of the Sword skill. And as if on cue, the armored crab reminds him it's still there, blasting the tree with another bubble barrage. His HP drops by 17. With a monster spider in front and the killer crab behind, he is completely and utterly trapped. The spider monster hisses, ready to finish its meal, as our hero can only curse his rotten luck, forced into another dead end. But salvation comes from the most unlikely place, as the armored crab fires another bubble barrage. The blast zips right past the slime mold and scores a direct hit on the spider. It's sent flying back, stunned by the attack. Dripping with rage, the spider monster glares down at the ground. It has a new target. Completely ignoring our hero, it launches a counterattack on the crab below. First, an arachnid silk shot to immobilize its new foe. Then it dives in, unleashing another powerful arachnid slash. The attack smashes against the crab's tough crustacean carapace. The two monsters are now locked in battle. The spider's blade-like legs grind against the crab's shell, but the arachnid silk shot holds the massive crustacean fast. Watching from the sidelines, our hero congratulates himself. Shifting aggro, driving the tiger to swallow the wolf, my plan succeeded. Enraged and immobilized, the armored crab begins frothing at the mouth. It rears back its massive pincer and lands a devastating blow, sending the spider flying. The spider monster screeches in pain from the sheer force of the impact, but it's far from finished. Retaliating with another vicious slash of its own, it leaps back, creating distance as the brutal exchange continues. The crab looks down, only to realize its main weapon has been completely neutralized by the spider's silk. But the spider reveals a new skill, using its arachnid silk control to completely ensnare the crab. With a triumphant cackle, it stands over its completely immobilized foe. Our protagonist can't believe his eye. The damn crab got trussed up. The small spider actually turned the tables. But as it moves in for the kill, the spider senses that something is terribly wrong. The armored crab begins to foam at the mouth, unleashing a desperate point-blank bubble barrage. It spins like a top, creating an inescapable vortex of destruction. The spider monster is caught in the blast, its body torn to shreds by the sheer force. The devastating attack rips through the entire area. And our protagonist realizes with horror that he's caught in the crossfire. Crap, its survival instinct has been triggered. The armored crab sputters, completely spent from its final desperate attack. The battlefield falls silent, with nothing left of the spider monster but a pile of mangled parts. Cautiously, our protagonist peeks out from behind the tree. Is it finally done spraying? Seeing his opportunity, he slithers out from his hiding spot. He approaches the weakened beast, a smirk in his thoughts. Look at you, all weak after spraying everywhere. But he needs a plan. Poison mushrooms are too risky. If the crab closes its mouth, he's finished. He has to end this now, before it recovers. Then he spots the perfect tool for the job. He envelops a large stone, planning to absorb it. First, store the stone into my slime mold space. But a notification pops up, insufficient spatial capacity. He'd forgotten his storage is tied to his HP, and after that crossfire, he's running on empty. No time to waste. If he needs space, he'll make it. Then spit out all the mushrooms first. With the mushrooms ejected, the system confirms, storage successful. He strains under the immense weight. It's a struggle, but he's got it. Now, it's time to deliver the final blow. From the shadows, he calls out to the bound crustacean, "Hey, I'm here to collect you." He scales the tree, hoisting his stony weapon high above the helpless crab. The armored crab makes one last desperate attempt to fight back, but the weak stream of water is nothing. Still want to struggle? The crab's eyes widen in terror. With a final, decisive leap, he brings the rock down with crushing force. It's over. He is the only winner of this three-way melee, leveling up to 14 in the process. He can't help but gloat over his incredible victory. And with two high-level monsters at his disposal, it's time for the victor's feast. He cleverly uses the crab's carapace as a bowl and prepares a full-course meal from his fallen enemies. He digs right in. First up, the spider leg, and it's absolutely divine. After a lifetime of eating moldy wood and gross bugs, this is the first truly delicious thing he's tasted in this new world. The taste is so good it brings him to tears, healing his emotional trauma and giving him a new reason to live. Determined not to waste a single scrap, he cleans the log completely. The feast has its benefits. He's now a fully restored level 14 with decomposition hitting level 6 and pulsation jumping all the way to level 8. Now full and motivated, his eye narrows with purpose. It's time to get started on that. And what is that exactly? He begins to concentrate, his entire body tensing up with immense effort. He strains with all his might, squeezing his body tight, trying to force something out. His inspiration? The armored crab's bubble barrage. He figures if a crab can weaponize its internal fluids, then a slime mold should be able to as well. With a final desperate push, he screams for it to come out. And something does. Unfortunately, it's a pathetic little squirt from completely the wrong side. Exhausted and covered in his own goo, he realizes he can't control the direction, and the attack has zero power anyway. This is outrageous! But wait, what if he tries combining the idea with a skill he already has? He activates Burst. And just like that, a notification pops up. His Burst skill has evolved into Cytoplasm Spray. It worked. He's just discovered that skills can actually evolve. But that's not all. He remembers Burst had a 5-minute cooldown, and now it's gone. He realizes this means he can spam it! The new skill has absolutely no cooldown. He practices until he gets another notification. Cytoplasm Spray has already leveled up to level 2. There's just one catch. Every single shot costs him HP. As his health plummets, his body starts eating itself to survive. He finally understands his own nature. As a slime mold, he has no magic. His own body is his only resource. The path forward is clear. He must eat, decompose, and grow. This leads him to a strange, almost cannibalistic idea. If eating makes him grow, what happens if he eats himself? He remembers a piece of his body that was torn off during the last battle and goes to find it. There it is, a chunk of himself just waiting to be reclaimed. He decides to test his theory. He slurps it back up, and the results are absolutely game-changing. Not only does he recover HP, but he gains all the experience the split part had accumulated, and his max HP permanently increases by 30. He realizes that his severed parts can act independently, decomposing things on their own and storing the EXP. A sly look crosses his eye. He hasn't just found a new ability, he's found a bug in the system. His plan is brilliant. He can split his body into multiple parts, send them out to farm EXP, and then reabsorb them later, multiplying his leveling speed. And so he tests it out, actively splitting off a piece of himself and creating a new skill, division. He quickly discovers a key limitation. If any part of him, main body or clone, drops below 30 HP, it enters a shriveled autophagy state. But with his max HP now at a whopping 198, he realizes that as long as there's enough food, he can create an army. Time to put the theory into practice. For the cost of 30 HP, he splits off another piece. It works perfectly. A new independent clone wiggles to life. A grin spreads across his face. He's basically just learned the shadow clone jutsu. A one-slime army is born, believe it! He immediately puts his new workforce to use, assigning one clone to decompose a withered log. 2 more are sent to handle a patch of mushrooms. The EXP farm is officially open for business. With his clones busy, the main body decides to recover his lost HP by finishing off the spider meat. After all, safety always comes first. As he takes a moment to reflect, he realizes he's become terrifyingly strong. Piercing attacks? Totally immune. Normal slashes? Don't even make him flinch. Even an advanced sword skill that slices him clean in 2 is basically just a minor inconvenience. He concludes that with his gelatinous body, powerful physical attacks are no longer a fatal threat. The only thing he's truly worried about is magic, but he hasn't seen any signs of it in this beast-filled world. So for now, he enjoys a moment of peace, floating in the water. But that peace is shattered in an instant. A group of googly-eyed crabs suddenly surface, and one immediately pinches off a piece for a snack. The crabs scuttle out of the water, each one carrying a stolen piece of his body like a trophy. It's a full-blown invasion as the horde makes off with their loot. But our protagonist isn't just going to let them walk away with parts of himself. They stop in their tracks, surprised. From his perch on the tree, he lets out a furious war cry. And in an instant, he engulfs the tree trunk. He slides down, trapping and decomposing all 6 crabs at once, even earning a level up in the process. He reabsorbs his lost parts, restoring himself to peak condition and hungry for more. With his confidence soaring, he spots his next target and roars, "Fight!" He even imagines a cool new skill for the occasion, Plasmodial Barrage. He unleashes a volley of his own body matter, a self-made cytoplasm spray. After 2 days of relentless training, his skill levels up to 6. He's been pushing himself to the limit, constantly firing and reabsorbing his parts, even triggering his autophagy state. But he's hit a wall. At full power, he can only manage 30 shots. He needs to get stronger. And then it hits him. He doesn't just have to shoot himself, he can add some spice. By wrapping his projectiles around poisonous mushrooms, he can create long-range poison darts. And by the same logic, wrapping them around stones turns his spray into a deadly physical barrage. The impact is devastating. He can't help but admire his own genius. But his celebration is cut short by a strange sound from a nearby tree hollow, accompanied by a mysterious glowing light. He cautiously approaches the source of the light. Let's just take a little peek. Inside, he finds a massive, spectral owl staring right back at him. He's completely frozen in fear. This is exactly what he was afraid of, a monster that can use magic. His only instinct is to retreat, and fast. He makes a desperate leap to escape the hollow, but the owl's glowing eye tracks his every move. The perspective suddenly shifts to a pink-haired girl, whose eye is glowing with the same ethereal light. It seems the owl was a familiar, and its master has just labeled our protagonist a strange little monster. Meanwhile, the pink-haired girl is traveling with a party of adventurers who are growing concerned. They haven't seen any high-level monsters, and all their magic communication has been mysteriously cut off. Back with our protagonist, he is in full-blown panic mode. He knows he was spotted and that he stands no chance against that girl. He flees frantically, but where can he possibly hide? He spots a river. If he can just get across, he might be safe. But how? Tapping into his past life's knowledge, he makes a desperate leap, banking it all on the momentum theorem. He then unleashes a brand new technique, firing pieces of himself across the water in a plasmodial barrage. His main body lands with a heavy splat, costing him a massive 80 HP for the maneuver. The rest of his scattered parts zip through the trees to rejoin him. Finally whole again, he collapses against a tree, catching his breath and hoping he's finally in the clear. While munching on some branches to recover, he has a sobering realization. Even as a powerhouse among low-level monsters, he'd be instantly killed by an opponent, just one rank higher. But his moment of reflection is shattered by a deafening explosion. He feels an oppressive aura even more terrifying than the serpent-necked bird, thinking the girl has already chased him down. But as he looks up, he realizes a colossal, flaming foot has slammed into the earth right in front of him. He's completely dwarfed by its sheer size. And resting on its leg, is that a finger? A severed finger, a divine gift from the heavens, has landed right within his reach. His intuition goes wild. If he can decompose this, he could instantly leapfrog in power and maybe even evolve. He's practically vibrating with excitement. Wasting no time, he scrambles onto the massive creature's leg to claim his evolutionary prize. He immediately activates his decomposition skill, spreading his body over the colossal finger. But something is wrong. His body begins to bubble and contort violently. His HP starts plummeting. The finger's flesh is so potent, it's decomposing him instead. Thinking fast, he uses autotomy to sever the corrupted part of his body. He leaps to safety, abandoning the piece of himself that was being destroyed. He lands on a nearby rock, furious with himself. His decomposition skill is too low. If only he'd used his enhancement points sooner. With the prize right in front of him but untouchable, he realizes his only option is to grind, max out his skill, and return. But just as he makes his new plan, the ground begins to shake violently. An earthquake? No. The giant finger suddenly ignites and blasts off into the sky like a rocket. It blasts off like a missile, leaving a deep crater in its wake. Our protagonist is left completely speechless. Suddenly, the ground starts to give way. He quickly uses plasmodial barrage to get clear. But it's no use, the entire area is unstable. The crater collapses in on itself, forming a massive sinkhole. He watches from a distance as a huge chunk of the forest disappears into the abyss. He's sweating profusely. Reduced to a terrified puddle, he whimpers. The outside world is so scary. He realizes his arrogance was a mistake. From now on, he'll focus on quietly farming and leveling up in his hideout. The memory of that overwhelming power is a stark reminder of just how weak he still is. With his resolve hardened, he makes a frantic retreat from the chaos. He checks his mental map, making sure he's far away from the sinkhole, the centipede's territory, and especially the spectral owl. Finding a secluded spot, he decides to set up a temporary base and recover his split bodies in the morning. He uses his dissolution skill to seep into a crack in a large rock. The plan is to make the entrance smaller while expanding the interior, creating a safe haven from larger monsters. Putting on his game face and a makeshift helmet, he begins construction. He uses his body as a living drill, dissolving and carving out the stone to create his new home. For a light source, he plants a luminous mushroom, adding a touch of poisonous home security. He even carves out a cozy little bed for himself. With his new secure hideout complete, he proudly declares, "Mission accomplished." His new base is a masterpiece of security, with a narrow passage and poison mushroom booby traps guarding the entrance. In his mind, he's the king of his castle. In reality, he's just a happy little mold, finally feeling secure in his new home. But his peaceful slumber is suddenly interrupted by a deafening buzz. Annoyed, he pops out to tell the neighbors to keep it down. It's not neighbors, it's an entire swarm of giant flesh-eating hornets. And they are heading straight for his territory. Not willing to be pushed around, he fires off a high-speed glob of cytoplasm. Then he gives the swarm a friendly little wave. He immediately regrets this decision. He immediately yanks his arm back inside. The enraged swarm descends, pouring into the narrow entrance. But his booby trap slams shut. Turns out his body is the perfect insect glue, and the first wave of attackers is instantly defeated. Having survived the initial assault, he sneaks out to track the rest of the swarm. And high up in the canopy, he finds their home base. He settles onto a branch, observing from a safe distance. Found their nest. But as he watches, he notices a few hornets making a strange glowing signal. It's a call to arms. The entire hive mobilizes and swarms directly towards him. But our little slime mold isn't scared, taunting the swarm. "Come if you must, your attacks are ineffective against me anyway." The hornets immediately oblige, engulfing him in a massive, buzzing ball. But this isn't a normal attack. They begin vibrating their wings, creating a heat-smothering effect that literally cooks him alive. His HP starts to drop and the bravado shatters. Wait, they can do that? He's not going down without a fight, unleashing his plasmodial barrage to shred through their ranks. But these hornets are different. One of them instantly erects a beeswax shield. His attack is completely nullified. He realizes with dawning horror that the forces near the hive are far stronger than the scouts he fought before. This is bad. And it's about to get worse as another specialized hornet prepares its own deadly counter. Waving a stinger like a magic wand, a glowing sigil materializes in the air. It's a summoner. The hornet casts Swarm Summon, and dozens of tiny crab-like parasites rain from the sky. They plummet directly towards our hero. He finally understands the horrifying truth. This isn't just a swarm, it's an organized army with specialized classes, workers, shield-bearing guards, and even a hornet mage. A creature capable of casting magic. As the parasites descend, the regular hornets surge forward, refusing to give him a moment's rest. With no other option, he prepares to fire another plasmodial barrage. He unleashes a volley of cytoplasm spikes into the fray. This time, his attack connects, ripping through the unshielded hornets. But it's a Pyrrhic victory. The swarm is endless, and every attack consumes his own body, draining his HP at a terrifying rate. Luckily, he has an ace up his sleeve. By seeping into the tree, he uses decomposition to rapidly heal himself. He fires another volley, but a guard hornet swoops in, raising its beeswax shield. The attack is completely nullified. Not another one with a shield. He considers using his last stored stone to strengthen his attack. But while he's focused on the shield, two more hornets dive in from the sides. They slam into his body, their sharp legs digging deep. A fatal mistake. To actually deliver yourself to my doorstep. He immediately begins to envelop and decompose them. Then I have no choice but to accept it. The decomposition is complete. He gains 4 bee spears and a bee stinger, but his inventory is already full. Wasting no time, he immediately weaponizes his new loot, firing one of the spears from his body. It slams into a hornet guard, shattering its beeswax shield and piercing straight through its torso. The hornet mage is stunned. Seeing their impenetrable defense broken, the entire swarm begins to retreat on the mage's command. He watches them go, alone on the branch. Sprouting his new weapons, he scoffs with newfound confidence. Retreating? Do you even know how powerful I am now? But this isn't a retreat. It's a change in tactics. The mage gives another order. The hornets begin to gather a massive, glowing orb of golden liquid, and our hero's battle focus is instantly shattered by a primal urge. Bee, honey! I really want to taste it! The hornet mage points its wand, enchanting the honey with beginner fire magic, and hurls the now flaming orb straight at him. It's a direct hit! The molten honey bomb explodes on impact, dealing a massive 70 damage. The mage watches its spell connect from above. He realizes he's completely countered, fire magic plus the sticky splash damage. But wait, the honey is also healing him. Still, he knows he can't win this fight. It's time to run. But another fiery glob cuts off his escape. Trapped, he unleashes a desperate new attack from his eye, Plasmodial Barrage. A rapid-fire spray of cytoplasm bullets shoots towards the swarm. But the guards are ready, raising their beeswax shields to intercept the attack. The barrage splatters harmlessly against their defenses. It's not strong enough to break through. He can't believe it. They can even buff up their attacks, and that's too unfair. Another molten honey bomb explodes right behind him, and the Hornet Mage isn't finished, raising its wand to cast Swarm Summon. From its back, it unleashes a horde of smaller, glowing, self-destruct bees. The living bombs rocket forward with a single purpose. They swarm the tree, crashing into it like kamikaze pilots. The entire area erupts in a massive, blinding explosion. Our protagonist is thrown through the air by the force of the blast. He splatters hard against another branch, completely outmatched. The Hornet Mage looks on, confident in its victory. Defeated and splattered, he can only think, damn it. But the Hornets show no mercy, moving to saw off the very branch he's on. He's completely surrounded by the glowing self-destruct bees, with nowhere left to run. And to make matters worse, the Hornet Mage begins to gather another massive orb of honey. Once again, it enchants the sticky projectile with its fire magic, creating a second, even more terrifying molten bomb. The bomb hurtles towards him as the entire swarm unleashes a final, overwhelming barrage. There's absolutely no escape. The world is consumed by a cataclysmic explosion. As the smoke begins to clear, the Hornet Mage surveys the devastation. The branch is completely obliterated. Victory. With the battle won, the swarm begins to disperse, but suddenly the mage freezes. Something is wrong. A sneak attack! The remaining Hornets whirl around, rushing to intercept the real protagonist. They swarm him, but he's unfazed. Too late. The main force is gone, and you few can't stop me. He reveals his master plan. All along, he'd been extending his body through the tree, creating a secret tunnel straight to their nest. And the body they just blew up, that was a decoy he created by sacrificing a whopping 150 HP. And just as I predicted, you fools focused all your firepower on the decoy, giving me the perfect cover to sneak my real body right into your home. He smashes his way inside. We see how he did it. Using his search skill, he spread his body thin like a root system, creating a network of passages to map out the entire nest from within. He pops out in the nursery, but this isn't his target. Not the egg chamber either. He even finds their glittering honey storage. But he's not here for snacks. The honey can wait. He bursts through the floor of the final chamber, and there it is, the Hornet Mage resting atop the massive Hornet Queen. Found you! The queen bee is massive, a helpless, pulsating sack of eggs. The remaining hornets in the nest react instantly. The Hornet Mage and its royal guards turn, their eyes glowing with fury. But it's too late. The slime mold has already wrapped its body around their queen, taking her hostage. Don't move, he warns. Your queen is in my hands. The mage is frozen in pure shock, but its shock quickly turns to rage as it raises its weapon, and the guards ready their shields. They form a phalanx, a wall of hardened honeycombs. The protagonist's eye narrows. So there's no room for negotiation? Suddenly, massive stingers erupt from below, impaling the slime mold's body. Even the Hornet Mage is stunned by this sudden turn of events. But the surprise attack was just a distraction. The protagonist's logic was always sound. The queen is the hive's central processor. With her gone, the entire swarm simply collapses. He realizes negotiation was never an option. For low-level monsters, instinct always wins. And the reward for his ruthless efficiency? A massive surge of experience, launching him straight from level 15 to level 17. As night falls, our slime mold begins the grim task of cleaning up, decomposing the mountain of corpses for every last drop of XP. The process grants him a powerful new skill, Central Command, but he's confused when he can't immediately upgrade it. A system alert clarifies, as a racial skill, decomposition can only be leveled through proficiency, not points. Regardless, the spoils are immense. His internal storage is now packed with potent honey that restores 400 HP apiece. After the slaughter, a moment of quiet. Looking over the field of bodies, he's struck by a strange melancholy, wondering why he has such mixed feelings when he no longer has a heart. He reflects on his bloody path of predation, from the snail and the spider to the crabs and now an entire hive. And his mind conjures a bizarre, heart-wrenching scenario. a little crab child, waiting for a father who will never return. He imagines the father, a typical salaryman, calling his wife to say he has to entertain clients and will miss playing with his son. The mother gently explains to the disappointed child that his daddy works hard to provide for them. The hours tick by. Worried sick when her husband doesn't answer his phone, the mother decides to take their son and go search for him. As they walk through the quiet streets, the mother sings a dramatic song, much to her son's embarrassment. Then up ahead, they spot a figure swaying drunkenly. The little crab's face lights up in recognition. "Daddy!" he shouts. But the father is so drunk he's stumbling the wrong way, and the mother urges her son to go help him. The imagined crab child happily runs forward, not noticing the ominous slime creature in the foreground. But the figure turns, revealing the protagonist's grotesque form, who sneers, "Little kid, your daddy was truly delicious." The child lets out a silent, horrified scream. And in his own mind, the protagonist screams too, realizing he's cast himself as the ultimate villain. He snaps back to reality, a lone slime in the vast forest. He reasons that his lingering human mentality is the source of this guilt, something he has no control over in this new world. He hardens his heart, accepting the brutal law of nature. If he's not the hunter, he's the prey. Setting aside his moral crisis, he decides to focus on survival and reclaim the piece of his body he sent out to scout. He splits apart and launches himself through the trees. But as he arrives, he's stunned by an impossible sight, a massive, glowing structure looming in the distance. He rockets forward to investigate. Zipping through the trees, he closes in on the source of the light. But as he gets closer, he realizes it's not a structure. It's a campfire. Could it be humans? Peeking from the shadows, he sees a party of adventurers resting. A man warns a girl named Nia about leaning on her pig-like mount. "Holy crap, it's really them!" The pink-haired girl, a C-rank adventurer named Nia Ross, casually reassures him, petting her mount, a little steelback. The group's captain, a B-rank adventurer named Rake Carter, apologizes for getting them lost while searching for their guildmaster. But Cole Fern, another B-rank, tells him not to blame himself, citing the forest's strange phenomena. Magical communication is cut off, and all the high-level beasts have vanished. Rake remains worried, revealing their guildmaster has been out of contact for 2 years, and rumors connect his disappearance to a secret mission assigned by the Pope. This is their leader, Guildmaster Gon, a legendary figure who founded the 100-style guild on principles of equality and unity, making it one of the 8 great guilds. Rake explains that the guild's rapid growth drew the church's suspicion, leading to Gon being sent on a mission to this very swamp forest 2 years ago, from which he never returned. A lonely, dangerous place? With a heavy heart, Rake admits that in Gon's absence, their guild has crumbled, and only Nia and Cole answered his call to search for their lost leader. Nia insists she owes Gon everything, saying his inclusive guild was the only reason someone with her niche profession could even become an adventurer. But Cole, ever the pragmatist, tells her not to worry, as her ability to control magic beasts would make her a hot commodity for any guild. Nia furiously shuts him down and Cole quickly backpedals, pretending he said nothing at all. All the while, our protagonist listens intently. He realizes this is a golden opportunity to gather crucial intelligence about the human world's power structures. To hear better, he extends a piece of his body to act as a long-range receiver, sending the tendril slinking closer to the campfire, perfectly disguised. But just as he gets into position, a calm voice cuts through the night. There's a monster. His tendril freezes on the ground. Before he can react, a massive ice spike erupts from the earth, impaling his extended limb. The frost effect is super effective, instantly slowing him by 90%. His cover is blown! The adventurers spring into action, but it's Nia's mount, the little steelback, that charges forward. They stare in confusion at the strange, frozen appendage. The pig-like beast sniffs curiously at the impaled tendril, and then with a mighty crunch, it shatters the ice with its jaws. The feedback shoots back to the main body, and our protagonist can only watch in horror. Not content with just destroying his limb, the little steelback launches itself directly at his main body. He can only watch in terror. This is it. After all his struggles and leveling up, he's about to become pig food. Game over. But just as the beast is about to swallow him, Nia rushes in, shouting for it to stop. She scolds her mount, telling it not to kill indiscriminately since he's just a harmless little monster. With a disgruntled snort, the little steelback spits out the piece of him it was about to eat. Then, to his utter shock, Nia gently scoops him up into her hands. She smiles, saying he feels familiar, and asks if he wants to form a monster contract with her. Our ruthless protagonist completely melts. An angel. The classic isekai bond. His answer is a resounding yes. But the party leader, Rake, immediately shuts it down, telling Nia not to waste mana on a low-level slime, prompting an indignant correction. I am a slime mold. He tries to correct them again, but realizes his telepathic voice isn't reaching them. But then an idea strikes. He'll just have to show them he's intelligent. He begins to morph his body, forming strange shapes on the ground. His bizarre display quickly catches the party's attention. He proudly spells out a message in Chinese characters, thinking this will finally prove he's a sentient being. But Rake just squints and asks if the slime is secreting waste. The horrifying realization hits him. This is another world. They can't read Chinese. Defeated, he decides to cut his losses and escape before they kill him for being a weirdo. And so he floats away into the night, his dreams of a cushy life with a tamer completely shattered. He makes his way back to his territory, praying he doesn't run into that terrifying spectral owl again. But he's not just wandering aimlessly. He activates a new skill, turning his very being into a living radar. His consciousness scans the area, locking onto a tiny piece of himself he left behind on a rock. Turns out he'd split off a part of his body as a tracker before he was captured. This is the power of his new skill, Nucleus Command. With no time to lose, he slingshots himself through the forest. He quickly hones in on the signal, which is growing stronger by the second. But when he arrives, he's left completely speechless. The piece he left behind has been busy, decomposing a mountain of corpses in his absence. He immediately reclaims the massive blob of nutrients and EXP. Whoosh! The system goes wild. His poison resistance jumps from level 7 to 8. And the EXP gain is so insane, he levels up all the way to 22. Fully recharged, he immediately sets off to find his next target. He activates his internal radar, but the signal is faint. He's confused. The signal from his tracker suddenly got weaker. Where did his little EXP pack go? He finally spots it in the distance, nestled among a patch of mushrooms. But it's not hiding. It's being devoured by another acidic snail. Furious, he blasts the snail away, screaming at it to get off his property. He trembles with rage, but his anger quickly melts into over-the-top sorrow. My baby, Daddy's coming to save you. He rushes forward to reclaim his precious EXP pack. But suddenly, something ambushes the snail from the mushroom patch. A long, sticky tongue snaps out and yanks the snail into the mouth of a hungry frog. Our hero can only watch, stunned, as his target is stolen right from under his eye. His rage finds a new focus. You ate my baby! You'll pay with your blood, you stinking frog! And without hesitation, he unleashes his plasmodial barrage, firing with everything he's got. The beam slams directly into the ambusher frog's face, sending it reeling back. He scoffs, feeling confident. Choke on it. At this rate, I could probably arm wrestle that serpent-necked bird. But something's not right. His attack wasn't a one-hit kill. The frog is wounded, its tongue smoking, but it's still alive. Realizing it's outmatched, the frog makes a desperate leap for the nearby water. Splash! But our hero isn't about to let his EXP get away. Want to run? In your dreams. The frog croaks from the safety of the water, but it's already too late. He unleashes a volley of his new weapon, toxic mushroom projectiles. The frog dives deep, shrinking away from the incoming barrage. His toxic projectiles splash harmlessly against the surface. Damn it, he thinks, realizing if the frog stays submerged, the fight is over. But suddenly the ambusher frog leaps back out of the water, and our hero remembers a key fact. Oh right, amphibians need air, you're dead this time. The frog lands on a nearby rock, preparing its own attack. It unleashes a powerful tongue strike, power release. But its attack smashes into empty stone, completely missing its target. Seizing the opening, our hero fires his own plasmodial barrage. Bullseye! The shot slams directly into the frog's skull. The projectile smashes into its target with incredible force, and begins to dissolve right through the frog's tough hide. But as he watches, our hero has a sudden realization. The frog wasn't fleeing, it was luring him to the pond. He admits that after the hive battle, he'd grown arrogant, and in the wild, the line between hunter and prey is always thin. The frog stumbles back, clutching its bleeding head. But the pain only fuels its rage. It launches itself into the air, aiming straight for our hero. Panicked, he realizes he's used up all his projectiles. Out of options, he decides to attack first and think later, unleashing a different kind of spray. The stream of cytoplasm peppers the frog mid-air, but to his absolute shock, the attack has no effect. The ambusher frog lands on the ground completely unfazed. Before he can even react, the frog's tongue slams into him. Oh crap! The sticky tongue latches on, yanking him off the ground. But with lightning-fast reflexes, he grabs onto a broken branch. Dangling helplessly, he's being reeled in like a fish on a line, straight towards the frog's waiting maw. Thinking fast, he wraps his body around the branch, twisting with all his might. And with a mighty heave, he yells, "Eat this!" He swings the sharpened wood like a club, impaling the frog's tongue. The force of the blow sends the frog flying back into the pond with a massive splash. Our hero breathes a sigh of relief. That was way too close. Its hand sinks beneath the bloody surface. He's already regretting the lost EXP, since he can't decompose a corpse that sunk to the bottom of a pond. But wait. Something is looking back at him from the depths. Before he can react, a massive projectile erupts from the pond. It shatters the tree he's clinging to. The ambusher frog has returned, and it just launched an entire tree as a weapon. But it's not the same frog. Its skin is now bone white, its eyes are bloodshot, and a strange title appears, Sanctified Fall. Our hero is completely stunned. What the hell? With its tongue mangled and its body transformed, the enraged frog lets out a terrifying roar. Its mangled tongue whips around as it unleashes another earth-shaking roar. The bloody appendage smashes into a tree, barely missing our hero. He can't just run. He fires a tendril high into the canopy, trying to make a quick escape. He splits his body into multiple parts, scattering to increase his chances of survival. But even as he flees, his mind is racing. He knows a wise mole doesn't fight when the odds are stacked this high. This power-up is too weird for a low-ranking monster. The only logical choice is to retreat. But it's too late. The Sanctified Fall is right on his tail. Using its tongue like a grappling hook, the frog rockets up the side of... Wait, that's not a tree. It's another, even bigger monster, and the frog seems to be draining something from it. The Sanctified Fall leeches power from the giant beast, its body pulsing with stolen energy. But as the protagonist tries to decompose the frog's blood, a terrifying alert flashes. The blood is toxic, and even his level 8 poison resistance can't handle it. Fueled by its new power, the frog detaches its tongue and launches itself directly at our hero. Its tongue snaps out like a whip, snagging the protagonist's main body, and sends him crashing into the pond below! At first, he's not worried. After all, his gelatinous body is resistant to physical attacks. But then, a new alert appears. The water itself is a threat, causing a deadly imbalance in his cells. Before he can react, the Sanctified Fall lunges, its mouth a gaping maw of razor-sharp teeth. And in one swift motion, he's swallowed whole. The frog floats calmly in the water, seemingly victorious. Is this the end for our slime mold? But the victory is short-lived. From inside its mouth, the protagonist fights back, forcing the frog's jaws open. But he's taking massive damage, his HP plummeting inside the acidic stomach. He's trapped. Prying the mouth open took all his strength, leaving him unable to split his body and escape. The Sanctified Fall lets out a confident croak. With no other options, he decides on a desperate plan. He has to gamble everything on this one move. He begins to absorb the very water that's killing him. The frog suddenly recoils in shock. It's a reverse attack. He's using the osmotic pressure imbalance to his advantage, frantically absorbing water to increase his size and stuff the frog to death. The Sanctified Fall lets out a strained croak, its body swelling to a grotesque size. But to survive the stomach acid, he chugs his entire supply of Hornet honey. With one final push, he screams, "Take this!" Boom! The frog explodes from the inside out, emerging from the carnage. He gets his victory notification. He's gained XP and a new ability, Antibody. He's left as a massive, bloated mound. He can hardly believe how big he's become. His body is now mostly composed of the very pond water that was trying to kill him. And this massive size comes with an unexpected power-up. He now has enough cell fluid to perfectly regulate his own osmotic pressure. But there's a catch. He realizes his 10,000 plus HP is only temporary. He earned this power-up by sacrificing his entire inventory, and he's not about to waste it. With his current body size, he's like a giant Kaiju, and that gives him a brilliant game-inspired idea. Katamari Damacy. He begins to roll, absorbing the carnage left behind by the Sanctified Fall. Everything he touches gets decomposed, racking up a ton of experience points. The local fish monsters get swept up in his massive, sticky form. But he quickly realizes that moving this massive body through the water is too slow and inefficient. It's time to take this show on the road. He's heading ashore. With a mighty heave, he surges out of the water. and crashes onto the swampy shore. His sticky, massive body immediately starts picking up leaves and debris. He continues his relentless roll, leaving the now toxic pond far behind. But his arrival doesn't go unnoticed by a pair of small otter-like creatures. A terrifying, gelatinous mountain suddenly looms over them with a booming, "Hello!" Before they can even scream, the kaiju slime barrels right past them, casually announcing, "I'm taking the fish." The two creatures are left utterly bewildered and covered in slime. He muses that with so many resources around, he can afford to let the cute monsters go, calling it the last proof that he still has a human soul. As his rampage continues, he spots another small creature, noting its presence. But this isn't some cute, harmless squirrel. Its tail suddenly erupts into a furious blaze. It unleashes a powerful fireball attack straight at him. The flames hit, and he realizes with a shock that fire magic is super effective against his water-based body. Annoyed, he declares that since the little cutie started the fight, it can't blame him for what happens next. With a new forest rule, playing with fire is prohibited, he simply rolls over it. The system confirms the kill, and the squirrel is instantly decomposed, leaving only a skeleton behind. But elsewhere in the forest, something else is on the move, slicing through the trees with blinding speed. A lizard-like monster is instantly cut down by the unseen assailant. The attacker is revealed, a terrifying sentient tree with blade-like limbs and a reptilian head embedded in its trunk. A new challenger appears, a massive, scaly reptile monster, gurgling with acidic intent. It unleashes a powerful jet of liquid straight from its maw. A direct hit, the treant is blasted with a corrosive acid spit. The acid sizzles and melts away its wooden exterior, corroding the monstrous plant. But instead of falling, the treant simply sheds its damaged bark, like a snake shedding its skin. And in an instant, it begins to rapidly regrow, completely healing the damage. The reptile monster can only roar in frustration, and charges forward with a furious wild rush. But the blade-armed treant stands its ground, bracing for the impact, ready for a brutal clash. The reptile thunders forward, its claws tearing up the earth, but the treant digs in, summoning a wall of sharp wooden spikes to meet the charge. The reptile is impaled, its momentum stopped dead as vines wrap around its body. The treant's assault has just begun, as strange buds sprout all over its arms. They bloom in an instant, revealing a bizarre flower that captivates the reptile's gaze. But within that flower, dozens of glowing red seeds begin to form. Bam! They fire like a biological shotgun, blasting the reptile's face apart. Blinded and stunned, the creature is left wide open for the treant's blades, which slice it to ribbons in a single devastating flurry. The acidic reptile is left a mangled, unrecognizable mess. But before the treant can claim its prize, a new challenger smashes onto the scene. The treant ignores it, plunging a root into its kill to absorb it, declaring, "Turn into nutrients." This blatant disrespect sends the new bipedal reptile into a furious rage. It stomps forward with a ground-shattering impact, cracking the very earth beneath its feet. But the treant is impossibly fast, effortlessly dodging the reptile's clumsy charge. The reptile leaps for a decisive blow, but the treant counters by summoning another massive spike from the ground. This time, however, the reptile's sheer force shatters the defense, sending the treant crashing to the forest floor. The victor looms over its fallen opponent, drooling in anticipation of its meal. But just as it prepares to feast, the reptile lets out a pained whimper as a root bursts from its skull. The treant wasn't defeated at all, and its appendage tears the reptile's head apart from the inside. Suddenly, a new, even bigger monster crashes onto the scene, dwarfing everything in its path. It's our protagonist, who immediately begins decomposing both of the powerful combatants. He gets a notification about a strange foreign object he's absorbed, but can't stop to check. His massive form is on a timer, and he knows he needs to keep consuming to maintain it. He continues his rampage, a rolling ball of destruction. But as he travels, he realizes something is wrong. Despite the huge area he's covered, the dense forest seems to stretch on forever. Then a terrifying thought crosses his mind. What if the earth itself is moving? And just as that thought hits him, a massive magic array flashes across the night sky, followed by a silent, violent explosion. Something small and yellow darts away from the blast. He questions if he's seeing things, noting the impossible silence of the explosion. But before he can process it, a system notification pops up. His time in the kaiju form is up. In a cloud of steam, his massive body collapses, returning him to his original tiny form. The first thing he's greeted with is the settlement screen, and the results are staggering. He's jumped all the way to level 49. His nutritional overload is complete, but it comes with a cooldown and an XP gain penalty. He's also earned a new title, Weak Creature Lord. The system also warns him that his inventory is full, and looking at the screen he can see why. It's packed with junk. The sight of it all makes him feel sick to his non-existent stomach. And with a disgusting heave, he vomits out all the useless items he's collected. He collapses into a dizzy, disgusting heap amidst the pile of rejected items. Feeling much lighter, he wonders what to do now that he can't gain any XP for the next hour. But just then, a new notification pops up. Having reached level 49, he can now undergo a class change or evolution. He realizes this is the true path to power, a qualitative change that will allow him to mimic any form and become a terrifying slime mold mageon. He imagines himself learning magic, dominating the entire world. While in reality, he's just a tiny blob laughing like a supervillain. But his power fantasy is cut short by a sharp buzzing sound. 3 figures slice through the air above him. It's a trio of giant hornets, armed and looking for trouble. He immediately recognizes them as the magic-wielding variants, and he can't believe 3 have appeared at once. Instead of engaging, his curiosity gets the better of him, and he launches himself into the air to follow them. He zips through the trees, keeping a safe distance from the hornet trio. But what they lead him to is beyond anything he could have imagined. An entire forest has been converted into a super colony, with hives connected like a sprawling city. He wonders if this is the evolved form of the swarm he wiped out. The sheer scale of it is staggering. Suddenly, a massive foot crushes one of the hives, and the culprit is a familiar, terrifying shape. A serpent-necked bird feasting on the larvae inside the broken hive. He instantly recognizes the monster that once scared him so badly he lost the will to live. But this one is white, not red. The entire hornet swarm descends upon the intruder, but the bird moves with terrifying grace. The hornet's attacks are completely useless against its tough feathers. The bird seems completely unfazed, its serpentine head just annoyed by the buzzing pests. Realizing their stingers are useless, the hornets change tactics, swarming together to form massive, grasping hands. They attempt to physically restrain the colossal predator, covering its entire body. But just as the bird struggles, a new threat appears in the sky. Magic-wielding hornets. These aren't just soldiers, they're mages, conjuring a storm of fireballs. The sky rains fire, erupting in a massive explosion. From his hiding spot, our slime mold is stunned. This hive is on a completely different level than the one he fought. The serpent-necked bird is engulfed in the inferno, screeching in agony. When the flames die down, its pristine white feathers are scorched a furious red. The apex predator has been wounded, and now it's absolutely livid. The hornet mages buzz nervously, bracing for the inevitable retaliation. With a furious shriek, the enraged bird unleashes its wrath, smashing through the hives like a wrecking ball. The battlefield descends into pure chaos. It snaps its powerful jaws, crushing a hornet in a single brutal bite. The hornet's stingers are useless, shattering against its tough, scaly hide. As corpses rain from the sky, our slime mold realizes this is a golden opportunity to stock up on resources for later. But suddenly the bird's wing is encased in a massive shard of ice, a powerful freeze spell. The adventurers have arrived, and Rake Carter warns his party. This isn't just any monster, it's a Lord-level threat.